Hello there, YouTubes. This is Renetto, and it is day 30 of the first 30-day challenge that I can remember doing in a long time. I have done other challenges. I have fasted, no food of any kind other than water for 7 days. Was I don't want to get into the details. I've shared a little bit about it before, but it was something that I decided I was going to do, and I did, and I felt like it almost killed me. It was definitely the most difficult challenge I've ever had. It's probably why it was the first one that popped into my mind, and I couldn't think of a better place to do this wrap-up video about my first 30-day challenge in a long time than here at the park, because one of the unintended consequences of the 30-day, make a video every day for 30 days and abstain from tobacco, alcohol, and THC. All three things that I was doing in excess for, like, non-stop excess for at least a year. I am a little self-conscious about the wind noise. Maybe I can feel the wind blowing. Maybe it's because I'm in this big open area and I should go back over here where the trees are, because I really don't want this video to be hard to listen to because of wind noise. Maybe I'll find a place to sit down. I can feel it blowing around me at different times. Yeah, so that challenge, sobriety challenge and video making challenge, has turned into so much more than I could have ever imagined. And yeah, I told you guys that I was going to make an unboxing video as part of this video, and I did change my mind about that. I could only really see myself making this video walking in this park, because I feel like so much of this last 30 days has been either in this park or around the town, changing my behaviors. And so I just really wanted to make this video here, and I didn't want to like just jam it into an unboxing. Obviously somebody or several people have been very thoughtful and sent me gifts, and I don't want to just tear through them as an afterthought. I haven't done an unboxing in a couple of weeks, so yeah, I will probably do that unboxing video tomorrow and just make it a standalone video, or maybe Saturday, but basically I will do it soon. I mean, I could even do it tonight and you know, post it 2 videos in a day. We'll see, but I definitely wanted to separate the 2 videos. I wanted to walk in the park, and I want to continue to talk about this 30-day challenge that I just completed. Well, today's day 30. It's the last day of my challenge. And I'm really excited about what's next. So I have actually been really struggling with how to make this video because of the topic of sobriety. I am just, I feel like I've been around the subject a lot through plenty of time and AA meetings with a friend or a family member, in Al-Anon meetings with a friend or a family, but mostly for myself, which is the family members of addicts and addicts and alcoholics, but addiction is addiction. And substance addiction is very real. It's a little different, I think, you know, like a shopping addiction versus a chemical addiction. A chemical addiction, you take a pill, you get a result. You know, gambling, pornography, shopping, working, those are addictions that you kind of have to work for. You have to go out and do an activity to like have the drug fire off in your brain by an activity rather than by a chemical, because you already have the chemical imbalance in your brain. You know, the adrenaline is pumping. Maybe you're a mountain climbing junkie, or a daredevil pilot, or you're looking for bridges to bungee jump off of. You're adrenaline junkie. You're getting your natural high. Sex is very much a natural high, but you kind of got to work for it. You know what I mean? So I am rambling, but I like where this is going. So let me stick with this thought for a second. It really helped me talk about the last 30 days, what it's meant to me, and what I'm doing about it moving forward. So I really can't stress this enough. What I'm getting ready to share with you, I've been struggling of how to share it, because everyone's journey is so different, and I really don't want people to get caught up or in my own personal, you know, like the nitty-gritty of what happened and how it happened, and because it won't be the same for you. What I do next won't be the same for you. What I don't do next, what I do next, none of the particulars are going to really make a huge difference for you if you copy me, except for one thing, except challenging yourself to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Give up something that you really like. Like this whole idea of challenging myself is just, it has really been the breakthrough for me. It's not the chemical. That's like the afterthought. It's not the walking. That's the afterthought, the after effects, I should say. But challenging, just getting out of my head, being accountable, coming out here and saying, I'm doing this. Or if I fail, I'm going to fail in front of you, or I'm going to pick myself up and do it again, or recalibrate, or rethink. Like, it's not really how I'm doing it, it's that I'm doing it. And that's the most important thing, is that I realize it's something that it can work for me. It gives me a certain sense of structure. It's not goals that are too far out. This 30-day thing, I just feel like it's a way to unlock some potential in me that has just been bound up. So definitely felt since my divorce, and maybe several years before my divorce, when things were really difficult at home, that I definitely lost myself, and I have been trying to like pick up those pieces and rethink about what a day in the life should look like for me. I will admit I have not really snapped out of it all too quickly or too healthily. I did over-medicate myself through a process. I've dated too much. I've done too much excess, but I've really not taken very good care of myself. I still have a very unhealthy relationship with money, and I am not very good at like making to-do lists and taking care of the little things and, you know, whatever. So, but the excess of drugs and things, smoking and drinking and stuff that I was doing in excess in the last year at least, did not help. It made things worse, and it was like, for the first time in my life, taking over my life, and I was like, I got to get out of this. And like I've told you several times, it's just making a decision to get the hell out of this place is what saved me. It is what is saving me, and it is helping me, you know, maybe just kind of get back, you know, get back to where, you know, to where a good place for myself, etc. So, whew. So let me break down a little bit of the last 4 weeks for you. Like I said, I'm hesitant to make the details of my own situation like too prominent in this video, because, you know, you shouldn't, it's just more of like, okay, that's what happened to Paul, but this is not necessarily what's going to happen to you. And I don't want you to measure yourself against me, other than just trying. If you try, you've succeeded. I've tried, and I'm going to keep trying again for these 30-day challenges. And I'm stepping out here and I can feel that wind blowing hard again. So maybe it is like on that side of the park a little bit better or something. But yeah, so, all right. So my own personal journey over the last 4 weeks basically breaks down in the first week, the second 2 weeks, and the fourth week. I mean, the second, you know, the second and the third week, those 2 weeks, that 2 week block, and then the last week block. 3 blocks, basically. The first week of hard, dead cold sobriety after all that nicotine, alcohol, and THC was remarkably easy once I, you know, made my mind up, made that first video, just like said, I'm doing this, I'm going crazy if I don't. That was so freeing, kind of like, it was like a coming out video. So much anxiety and fear about it. What if I'm labeling myself as some addict and I gotta this, and what's that going to mean in the future? And people are going to drive me crazy. Well, now what are you doing? How long's it been? What do you do? And it's just like, I got to sign up for AA meetings. Like, I don't know what to do. I just got to do something. And that starting it all was just amazing. And I did. I had a pink cloud. I don't think there was any possible way I could have done this 30-day challenge without YouTube, without you guys, and honestly, without the help of my sober friends. Elsie, was really an instrumental player in a lot of positivity in my life. I had some help from a few other friends, and I can mention some names, but it's like I'll forget someone if I kind of go off into the weeds with it. But I do want to really say thank you to YouTube and thank you to Elsie. Just the timing of us reconnecting and the 5,000 Hugs Project, and then breaking up with Julia and going on the sobriety challenge and having a friend like her. At the time, you know, the way that things were not that long ago was really helpful, and I didn't really realize how much it meant to me until it was gone. We're not talking like we were. We're not hanging out like we were. And so the last week has been I've been very alone, if you will. Like, I've had you guys, but I don't know, there was something about that connection with her that was just like we more chit-chatty and daily, and it was like, I joked her, I said, hey, Elsie, you know, it's not your responsibility, but somehow or another, you've become that friend that I'm kind of checking in with. And, you know, I'd call it later at night or earlier in the morning if I was struggling with something, and she was super, super helpful. And I really feel grateful that you need a sobriety buddy is what I'm trying to tell you. Elsie was my sobriety buddy for at least 3 weeks of this journey, and I'm very, very grateful. She was just the perfect person to be like really like right there with me, holding my hand, walking me, talking me through it. So I'm really grateful for that. And then you guys, you know, I made a bunch of videos, read a bunch of comments, stayed feeling accountable, and all that was really, really great. And the first week was like a pink cloud. The second 2 weeks got progressively more and more difficult. It got darker. I know that THC doesn't have like a lot of physical withdrawal and cravings and things like that. It's mostly like a state of mind, kind of, man, I wish I could be in that state of mind, but it's different. I was terrified of nicotine and alcohol withdrawal. Like, I was just like, oh no, there's no way you can smoke this long and drink this much, and like, I'm going to be having the shakes, I'm going to be eating Nicorette, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is going to be awful. It's going to be awful. And it just wasn't. It kind of reminds me of like I know 2 people close to me, unfortunately, that have gone to jail for short periods of time, like a few months. I think 3 months and maybe 5 or 6 months. Maybe it was both 6 months. I don't know. But all I'm saying is they were both smokers. And like the first thing when I heard of like they're going to jail, it's like, oh no, hopefully it'll just be short amount of time. But what are they going to do? They smoke, like, and both of them were like, yeah, you just, when you go to jail, nobody smokes. You can't smoke. You can't think about smoking. There's just nothing you can do. And it's just like, it's really not that big of a deal. And both of them stepped right out of jail, bought a pack of cigarettes, kept on smoking. But quitting was easy in jail, essentially. It was, I mean, you don't have a choice. You cannot smoke in jail. I mean, there might be some way to hide somewhere and smoke somewhere in some kind of a, but not like we're talking like, you know, 3 to 4 months in like a county jail. You know, you're not in a big system and pods and people hiding stuff and coming in and out and passing things through their openings in their cavities. It's you know, it's just, you just suffer through, you're cold. And I mean, I haven't been, thank God, for some crazy reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even accidentally, like, you get caught up in something. You're like, oh, God, I just spent a week in jail or 3 days in jail over some stuff. Like, I just feel like that can even happen accidentally. Like, you can get, you know, you can be a suspect in something that you had nothing to do with. But, like, it'd be even worse if you were criminal. But I'm thinking more of, like, how horrible it would be to have to go through that, even for, like, 4 days. Especially if you didn't belong there, you know? Like, something bad happens in your neighborhood, they think you might have did it, they lock you up for a couple nights and then they let you go. You know what I mean? Like, that just would be terrifying. Anyway, sorry. But all those people quit when they go in, and they all start when they get back out, because they had like a circumstance that locked them all down and made it easy. Well, for some reason it just felt like that to me, because I did that in my mind. And but the second 2 weeks, my God, oh my God, the nightmares started, the not being able to sleep thing started, the mania came and went, which was followed by, you know, like this manic periods. You know, first of all, I'm making videos, and that kind of got me jacked up and manic. But there was other things going on. You know, then there was like relationship drama, and then there was just like missing, you know, things, and trying to get new patterns and going and walking and like, holy crap, getting so active. It was just a lot, and I was tired. My body was going through a bunch of weird things, but I knew by the end of the third week that when I went through that middle block of those 2 weeks in the middle of the 4 week, I'm going to call it a 4 week, 30-day challenge. Those 2 weeks in the middle got worse and worse and worse and worse. And by the end of the third week of the challenge, I was saying to myself, oh boy, I feel like I can do this. I feel like I can live a life like with some boundaries and some, and like, you know, and I'm seeking some kind of moderation, like just a normal life, you know, not one where I'm all one way or all another, or just something moderate, you know, and healthy and normal, I guess. And so I'm thinking about all of that, and I'm going, but I can't be 100% sober either. Like, this is insane. There's something wrong with me. There's some kind of chemical imbalance. This is not, and I was like, I remember, and it all came back to me. It all flooded back over the last, you know, during those 2 weeks, as I got closer to the end of that 2 week block, closer to the third week, which was just last week. Because every day felt like, you know, 6 months sometimes. But it just started getting darker, and I could remember, like, I could visualize all these scenarios of my life in sobriety for, you know, 35, 40 years. And I was like, oh, I forgot what that felt like. I forgot what those highs, like experiencing those high highs and those low lows, and the sleep, not having any clock, and like, oh my God, like I'd forgotten just how essentially crazy I am. How there is some kind of chemical imbalance in my brain. I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly what it's all called. I don't know that anybody can even diagnose it so perfectly that we can figure it all out and prescribe me the perfect pill. But I have basically the very last week, which included just the realization that sobriety was amazing. Getting out and walking and exercising is amazing. Feeling productive is amazing. Making videos again is amazing. But not getting some serious help, not talking to a professional, and finding a way to help, I guess I'm going to call it mood stabilization, not a numbing. I can kind of live with it a bit, but the mood stabilization where it doesn't affect my sleep. I've realized those two things is really what has been affected the most. And with THC and alcohol and stuff, I was able to just sleep and always feel pretty good. Just, I had to like chase all these drugs to kind of feel good. But there was like the mania, a lot of that stuff just wasn't there. Even if it was there, it's literally there like 2% or 3% or 5% compared to what it was like stone cold sober. I remember years of, you know, people around me, my ex-wife, everybody, like, go see a therapist. I've been to therapists. I've been, you know, am I ADHD? Am I manic depressive? Am I bipolar? Am I all kinds of things? Because something's not quite right. But the life that I've lived, kind of a structure-free life, not having to work for other people and go to jobs and that kind of thing, it doesn't, my mania, my craziness, my insanity doesn't seem to have like a bunch of terrible effects. It would if I was losing jobs. It would if I was still trying to like raise kids and wasn't present. And, you know, there's a lot of ways that my lifestyle would be really, really bad for me if I didn't have such a free life. And I probably seek such a free life because I need like all this space to think clearly and not go crazy, because I can't manage my mania, I can't manage my moods, and I can't manage my sleep normally. I've leaned into some healthy medications a few times and always felt weirded out by them. I did talk to a medical professional during this time who was suggesting, hey, if these are things happening to you, and here's some, my clients are doing really well with these types of medications. I'm even considering, and probably considering the most, of how to reincorporate THC into my life, because I do feel like it's some kind of wonder drug, but yet not incorporate it back in my life, like just like, you know, a bag of weed sitting on my desk, smoking it because I'm bored kind of thing. Maybe a tincture where you put the drops under your tongue, maybe a capsule, daily capsule, and I find that, you know, a CBD capsule, maybe it's a you know, a sativa, which is like an upper versus like a downer, which is the indica. Then there's hybrids. You know, like I really have never really looked into marijuana as a true, you know, healing drug. I've just looked at it as, woo, this feels good, and then it also solves these other problems for me. But I'm like, well, if I can do a 30-day challenge and challenge myself and set boundaries, why couldn't the challenge be moderation rather than the challenge be, you know, this black and white thing? Especially when I separate them all out and I really don't see any purpose in the nicotine or the alcohol. That really was just like straight, there was only one reason to do this. Get a little tipsy. But marijuana did start out being like medicinal for me, and then I definitely added all kinds of nonsense to it. And so I definitely I'm thinking about revisiting all of that and finding some kind of moderate, healthy way to put that back in my life. And that's the part that makes me nervous, like sharing the details of this with you guys, is I don't want anyone out there to go, well, then I'm going to do that too. Because there might be people out there I might have a beer and then say, oh, I guess I can't remember last time I had one, or had one occasionally. It's different from knowing that you're drinking all the time. But for some people, you can't have just one. I might not be able to smoke weed one time without buying a huge bag of weed tomorrow and a case of beer the next day and a box of Black & Milds the third day and go, well, shit, now I gotta go back out there and do another 30-day challenge. Knowing that I can do the 30-day challenge kind of gives me a sense of confidence about finding moderation and health. Not just like that wind's starting to blow again. Not just trying to be sober to like have this kind of black and white life. I don't do anything, I do everything. I don't ever date, I date too much. You know, it's like, it's the extremes are what always get me in trouble. Moderation is hard for me. That is my challenge. It's easy for me to be an extremist. What's hard for me is moderation. So challenging myself is to do something hard. Right now, hard for 30 days was like just dropping it all and saying, tough it out. But I don't want to live life that hard. I also don't want to feel crazy, and I don't really want to have anyone try to copy my way of living, you know, because it's just for me. And I don't want someone out there to like that did a 30-day challenge of a sobriety challenge and then you're going to go back or tell you to go make it another 30 days and make it this, make it that. You know, don't do this, don't do that. If you drink once, if you smoke once, if you do this once, and then you do it again in a 10-day, like whatever it is that makes you wake up and feel good about yourself. And however many days you go or don't go, if you start a challenge and you make it 3 days in and you fall flat on your face, well, Renetto did it for 30. He must be able to do something I can't. This is too much for me. That's what I don't want. If anything, yes, copy my heart, copy my drive, copy my can do, I can and I will, try again, no matter what. Copy the shit out of that. But don't get into, well, whatever worked for him might work for me, whether it's a morning manifest or not a morning manifest, or whether you're in church and AA, or whether you make YouTube videos, or whether you do a 30-day challenge or a 90-day challenge or a once a week challenge, once a year challenge. Just push yourself a little bit harder than you think you can to do, you know, something to make your life better in whatever ways it's not working for you, you know. So I think you get what I'm saying, that it's been fantastic and I'm looking forward to more challenges along the way. And let me get into that now for just a second. So as I'm thinking about all of this, and yeah, and I did want to mention one thing, because I brought it up earlier about the first week, the second 2 weeks, the last week, which was what I'm calling like the third portion of the sobriety challenge for me, was really lonely too, because I had just circumstances, nothing like bad, just like my life was getting quieter anyway. And and just some of my friendships, when I went into sobriety mode, I was like, hey, I don't really want to hang out with that person as much. Nothing like that they're horrible or anything, or just like, just put me in a different frame of mind. Maybe I was a little pickier about who I wanted to hang out with, who I wanted to talk to. And I'm not, like I said, I don't want to mention names or get too much into my personal life, but it quieted a lot of things down. And then the couple of people that I was talking to was just super, super supportive, right in the headspace that I was in. But those conversations with those people, for other reasons and other circumstances, not to do with the sobriety challenge, nothing negative, just got quieter and quieter. And then, you know, that last week, especially because of just some different circumstances, I was just sitting around going a little batshit crazy alone. So I'm realizing I need, you know, a nice, healthy social life. I need someone to chit chat with that, you know, doesn't always have to spiral into some kind of love affair, you know, romantic things that you have to break up from and all that shit. But just something, you know, just a close by friend, someone to hang out with. It doesn't have to be a female, but I kind of, you know, I just, you know, with my son Noah gone, I ended up in the house very alone. I was dating Julia at the time. So I wasn't alone, you know, I was dating her and we were doing this poly thing. So I was like talking to all kinds of people at once and having a big time with it. So when we broke up and then Noah was gone, and then, you know, I haven't dated since then, or even tried to, other than just, you know, friends that I already have or whatever, but I haven't gone out there and like, oh, I'm going to find someone new. Nope. Anyway, I'm just saying the loneliness of it is part of something I realize is driving me crazy, and I need to fix that. So my next 30-day challenge is going to be around 3 things. I feel like I don't need to add a health challenge. I kind of feel like the health challenge is going to continue to come as an after effect of sobriety. Okay. And I do plan on being extremely sober for the next 30 days. Maybe incorporating some THC in some health, any possible healthy way. That's like a sleeping thing, only at night kind of thing. I really don't know how to do that, and I might not be able to. I might have to just go to a doctor and get try few different prescriptions and things like that. But I definitely need to find a way to medicate some issues that I think are legitimate, that there's just no reason to suffer through if you don't have to. Okay. But I feel all of that is going to kind of take care of itself on the momentum that I already have. So what's next? If I'm super busy, I'm not going to be using, and I'm not going to be bored. If I'm social, and I'm social with good, you know, companions for me that are very sober, that's a good thing. So here's kind of what's next. 3 areas. One is social. I need to, I need to have a friend, someone to kick it with, someone to talk with, someone to do some things with. That's something that brings a tremendous amount of value and happiness to my life, and I just don't like being without it. So doing that in a healthy way, it's harder. So healthy, thinking about something, and I have an idea for it. I don't want to share this stuff with you guys until I mull it over, and I'm thinking maybe Monday I'll make a video. Maybe Monday will be kicking off my next 30-day challenge. And then maybe I'll say, okay, so here's how I'm going to solve the social problem. I'm going to start doing this one little thing, this one simple thing, and see what happens from it. But yeah, I want to address a social issue in my life. And I've imagined a type of relationship solves, that it's better. Just, you'll see. I'll explain it later. Okay, so 1, social. 2, the second thing is financial. I have a lot of stress about what I'm going to do next financially. Whether it is get a job here in town, doing anything, whether it's waiting for some big opportunity that kind of flirts around with me occasionally, like this big project, that big project, this startup, that friend, this opportunity. Hey, what about that one thing? Hey, I could build a prototype of that. Okay, nothing's really grabbed a hold of me and pulled me in. And so it's keep waiting for something bigger to happen is making me crazy. Doing something that's too boring and small makes me crazy, and I'm stuck. Just like I was not wanting to use all the time, I was stuck. So I need to jerk myself out of this challenge, or out of this situation with a 30-day challenge. So I don't know if it's 30 days. I have to do this or do that, or somehow or another I want to tie in some challenge that addresses the 3 pain points in my life: social, financial, and this is what I think would be fun 30-day challenge that hopefully will not only just pick away at one little issue, but that it'll have those, what we've talked about, unintended consequences of all kinds of other things that come with it. So social, financial, and then physical, as in my home, my house. It's not big ideas of extravagant things. It's just a lot of little things that are blocking me from just cleaning my room, and it's because I'm not really sure what to do next with it or something. But there are things I know what to do next, and I know sometimes when you just get moving, things fill in for you that you didn't even plan. So I feel like I need to look at my house and say, well, if I just say that I'm going to put in fence posts, or if I just say I'm going to empty this room, or if I just say I'm going to do this, you know, like one project a week for 4 weeks, name the project and start it on Monday. You'll have till the following Monday to start another one, kind of thing. And then I would be like, okay, my first project is, and here's our, but probably like those push-up analogy, maybe when I do start that one little project, to go ahead and knock another one out or start another one out, you know, start another one off. So I want to do some work around my house and change the way it looks and feels. Maybe not all at once, maybe not every room. I don't want to solve every problem. I don't want to tie that into video blogging and podcasting. Like, that's going to come, but that's still like not quite there yet to tackle like something that big. I'm trying to start smaller, and smarter. So 3 areas: financial, and then financial, and then my home project, my financial project, or, you know, situation, take a little bite out of that, and social. And then the 4th one is physical, like as in being physical, yeah. And I just think that's going to happen no matter what. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm out walking, I'm out running, I joined a gym, but not because I'm doing a challenge, because it's how I'm living now that I'm so productive or whatever. So yeah, I want to be like productive, social, financial. Productive would be things on a to-do list that are pain points. Financial, some financial pain points and some small goals that I could, or, you know, and then, yeah, okay, I'm rambling because I'm liking what I'm saying. I like what I'm hearing here. I'm feeling better about this video. I feel like it came together. So the wind's blowing more out here. Shit, let me wrap this up. Here's what I'm trying to say. This is a good place to do it from, too. I got too antsy and I'll walk and talk too much. This video's not too terribly long, but long enough, I know. I'll do the unboxing video, let's just say tomorrow or Saturday or something. We'll talk maybe about more challenges on Monday. What's next? But this is what I'd like to say. I'd like to ask you to join me, to think of what you might be able to do to challenge yourself about a pain point in your life, some part of your life that you haven't imagined. I can and I will focus on my desire to live the life that I've imagined. That kind of implies that everything you're doing that you didn't imagine is something you don't want there. I personally never imagined getting a divorce. It's like the first thing that pops into my mind. I never, ever imagined getting a divorce. I never thought of what if. I was always like picturing me and Andrea sitting there like waiting for the kids to show up for a holiday. Some kids moved in with us that, you know, is going through a tough time. Like, you know, we've moved in with our parents, or another kid moved out of state and we got to go out and see them because they just had their first kid. Like, I just pictured a whole life with me and Andrea and the kids. And being divorced has rocked me, and I still don't think I've gotten over it. But I'm trying. But I'm asking you to join me and think of what is in your life that is not part of the life that you've imagined. Maybe you don't even have a great idea of what you've imagined, but we know for sure what we can get rid of, because we don't have to imagine that. And all you have to do is just think about pain. Close your eyes and go, oh man, what's haunting me? Where are my pains at? Well, I got some financial questions that are haunting me. I have some house projects that are haunting me, just staring at me going, well, you could do this. Wouldn't that be fun? I'm like, yeah. When are you going to start? I don't know. What are you going to do for sure? I don't know. Block. And social. Hey man, you know, maybe there's a different way to to have relationships and be social and not just be a party boy and not just make it about, you know, just sex and drugs and rock and roll and dancing and going crazy, you know, make it about building friendships. Or I don't know, maybe I go into a sexual thing where I'm not going to be sexual for 3 months and I'm going to date and not be sexual, or something like that would be, whew, that would be weird. But that could be maybe a good thing for me. I don't know. But I'm rambling again because they're just, I'm asking you guys to come hang out with me and maybe do a 30-day challenge with me. Bottom line, okay? Think about maybe not the life that you've imagined. If that's hard for you, think about things in your life that you didn't imagine. Maybe you're carrying some extra weight and you never thought you would get to this weight, and you're okay. We're gonna, in 30 days we're gonna just change one thing about your diet. Like you're just not gonna drink Coke or something. You know, like something simple. Think of a way to take a little bite of it out, and most importantly, find a way to succeed. And let's do it for 30 days. And just look, if you need to fantasize about eating a whole bucket of ice cream on day 31, go right ahead. Let's not worry about day 31. Let's worry about day 1. Identifying some things and having a day 1 and doing something about them and seeing what happens. So yeah, I can and I will focus on my desire to live the life that I've imagined. You can too. And maybe we can do a 30-day challenge where you know what your challenges are. I spell out mine. We're not trying to keep score of who made it 28 days, who only made it 24 days, who had 3 things they were going to do, but they failed on 2 of them and only succeeded on 1. We can share those little details here and there, but that's not what it's about. It's about trying. I'm leaning against this post because I can feel wind blowing really strong. And maybe if I put the microphone behind the post like that, yeah, that's it. I think that'll work. So yeah, I'd like for you to think about joining the I Can and I Will 30-day challenge. That's going to start on Monday. Not about succeeding, but about starting. Not about imagining perfection, but maybe focusing on what's there that you didn't imagine, and we try to take a little bite out of it. Maybe we have a little group where, okay, how do you think, you got any ideas of how I could take a bite out of this? You got any ideas how, if this is my pain point, what I could do for maybe there's a place to have discussion about that kind of stuff eventually, maybe just in the comment section. I don't know. I have some fairly creative ideas that if they don't kind of put a little bit of a smile on my face and make me think, man, I don't know if I want to do that or not. But if I did, that'd be so cool. Those are the kind of challenges I'm trying to think of. And I might only end up with 1. I'm just going to do the financial one. I'm just going to do the social one this 30 days. I'm only going to do the financial one this 30 days. I'm only going to do the house project for 30. You know, maybe I learn I can't do 3 at once and it's just 1 at once. You see what I'm saying? We can talk about it, but we have to have a start date and an end date, and we can figure out what worked and what didn't work, and we can tweak it for the next time around. But yeah, that sounds fun to me. We can and we will stay close to these desires, or I'm finding a lot of truth and or these lack of desire. I don't want this shit in my life. I can see all the shit I don't want easier than I can picture what I do want. I don't want to be angry every time I get on Facebook. You know what I've had to do? I've had to like not unfriend you, but just mute you and like say I don't want to like unfollow but not unfriend, because I see a lot of stuff that drives me crazy for no reason. And I'm like, Paul, you're going to be a victim if you keep getting irritated every time you see this person's post and you're mad at them. You want to tell them off. Just stop watching the shit. That's something I've done quite a bit of in the last 2 months, actually. I feel bad about it every time I do it because I really like these people. But for some reason, their stuff drives me nuts that they post. And I end up like, every time I see a post, I'm sitting there for 20 minutes thinking of like some way to like say something really clever and smart ass. And then I'm like, man, I just wasted, like, what am I doing with my life? So, okay. But we can and we will stay close to these desires. And I'm trying to think of what's the right word. Stay close to these desires and stay far away from these impediments, you know. Impediments is too technical sounding, desire. But then these undesirables. by reminding myself of it every day. No one can stop me but me. The most important part of this is no more excuses. No more excuses. If you can't do a 30-day challenge, do a 24-hour challenge. If you can't do 3 things at once, do 1 thing. If you can't do anything big, do something small. Acting small, dreaming big, moving forward every day. 1 priority, 1 day, be accountable, help others be accountable. 1 priority, 1 day, every day, be accountable, help others be accountable. That was the 5 pillars of my 1 priority project. No thing can stop me until tomorrow. No circumstance, no like, well, the whole world, you know, there was a hurricane, so I had to use, or I had to do something I didn't want to do. I did some things during the hurricane, you know, and it was just bad timing and fucked up everything. One person said I should have a 30-day challenge of not cussing on video. And I just realized that might have been my first cuss word in this video, and I really didn't need to say that. I'm thinking about it, but there's something about my cussing that is part of me for now. So pulling that out would be like a little fakery, but it is something I think about. Sometimes it's very off-putting for me to see certain people cuss in a certain way. When I feel myself cussing and hear myself cussing, I always think of it as comical, like entertaining. So I don't know why. Because sometimes it's like the way people cuss is like hilarious. Anyway, no thing can stop me until tomorrow. And we all know the best part. We only have to believe. It's possible. Yeah, I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling it. I feel like I said what I wanted to say. I'm glad I didn't mix it in with the unboxing. I feel fantastic. I know I have like small beady eyes, but doing a whole entire video wearing sunglasses. These aren't sunglasses, these are my regular glasses. And then the wind's blowing some back over here by the wall, hopefully. And I look terrible without them sometimes. But I did want you to look in my eyes all over here. Only have to believe. Crazy eye. Only have to believe it's possible just for today. So I mean this with all of my heart. No silliness, no goofing around. I am so grateful that you guys put up with the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs, the starts and the stops, the whining, the complaining, the cussing, the cheering, the sharing, the inconsistencies, the manic, the depressive. There are a group of you that are just here for all of it. All I can pray is that your life is just so good you have time to just sit and watch me fumble mine up. But I don't know where some of you come from or how you have the time to stay this connected. But it's fun for me. I appreciate it. And I couldn't have done this without you. I wouldn't have wanted to do this without you. That's for damn sure. So yeah, thank you again for sharing this first 30-day challenge with me and root me on. And I hope to see you guys at the beginning of the next challenge. And I hope that you have a few days to think about what that could be. And if I could talk, just one of you who admits, I say, you know how I was like, Trevor's my co-host. Here's what I'll do. Anybody who wants to do a challenge with me, hell, I'd think about even buying the pillow for you. You should buy a pillow have it sent to my house, or a name tag, or hell, I'll just get a white piece of paper and take a Sharpie and I'll write your username on it. But I'd want to, if we can get a few people, even one person, 2 people, 3 people, and I put your name, maybe I print out a picture, your avatar, and underneath it I write what your challenge is for yourself, or your username, and then and then we have a wall, and there's like 5 of us. So I'm like, all right, I got this person, this person, this person. I got these 3 people. There's 3 of us, and they're taking a 30-day challenge with me, and we're gonna start it maybe on Monday. And wouldn't that be fun? And then you can be my co-host, my 30-day challenge co-host, and I can even check in with you. That would start my kind of podcast situation. See what I'm saying? See what I mean? Just like when I think about it, and it all just comes together, and it feels like bettering your life doesn't always have to be horrible and like painful. If you can kind of make it interesting, make it funny, make it creative, make it challenging, make it happy, make it social, and make it so. Number 1. Wow, I feel fantastic. I do feel like I'm a little bit high right now. Like, I feel good. I feel great. We can and I will. We can and I will. We can and we will. I can and I will. You can and you will. We can and we will feel this great after our next 30-day challenge. That's my hope. That's the life that I've imagined. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.